It was 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday morning at Los Angeles International Airport. Terminal 4 was already bustling with the familiar chaos of early commuters, business travelers clutching coffee cups, and families beginning vacation adventures. Keanu Reeves stepped off the red-eye flight from Vancouver, where he'd been visiting his sister. The black t-shirt and well-worn jeans were his travel uniform, comfortable, unassuming, designed to help him blend into the crowd of ordinary travelers. At 59, Keanu had mastered the art of airport navigation. Keep your head down, move with purpose, avoid eye contact that might lead to recognition. Not because he didn't appreciate his fans, but because airports were liminal spaces where people were often at their most vulnerable, rushing to catch flights, saying goodbye to loved ones, or simply exhausted from travel. He had a 3-hour layover before his connecting flight to Chicago, where he was scheduled to begin rehearsals for a small theater production of those passion projects that reminded him why he'd fallen in love with acting in the first place. As he approached gate 47B, planning to find a quiet corner to read and maybe grab some coffee, he noticed something that made him slow his pace. She couldn't have been more than 7 years old. Curly brown hair tied back with a bright purple scrunchie, wearing a Disney princess t-shirt that had seen better days, and clutching a glittery pink phone case that caught the fluorescent airport lighting. "Excuse me," she said in the polite but direct way that only children manage. "Are you Mr. Keanu?" Keanu paused, glancing around quickly to see if this was part of some larger scene photographers, other fans, the kind of public encounter that could quickly become overwhelming. But he saw only one man standing a few feet away, watching with the careful attention of a protective parent. "I am," Keanu said, kneeling down to bring himself to her eye level. "What's your name?" "Lily," she said, her confidence growing with his gentle response. "My dad says you're in movies. Can I take a selfie with you? I promise I won't post it anywhere bad." The last part made Keanu smile clearly, a phrase she'd been coached to say, probably by the same father who was now watching their interaction with a mixture of pride and anxiety. "Of course, Lily," Keanu said. "But first, let me meet your dad properly." As Keanu stood and approached the man who'd been hanging back, he immediately noticed something that made his chest tighten with recognition. It wasn't just fatigue on the man's face. Keanu had seen enough of that in airports. This was something deeper. The man was probably in his early 40s, but illness had aged him. His skin had the translucent quality that comes with chemotherapy, and his clothes hung loosely on a frame that had clearly lost significant weight recently. "I'm David Chen," the man said, extending a hand that trembled slightly. "Thank you for being so kind to Lily. She's been talking about this trip for weeks." "It's my pleasure," Keanu replied. But his actor's instinct, shown by years of reading people and situations, told him there was much more to this story. As they took the selfie, Lily beaming between them, David managing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes, Keanu found himself studying the small family. The way David held his daughter's hand with the intensity of someone trying to memorize the feeling. The way Lily kept glancing at her father with a protectiveness that seemed far too mature for her age. "There you go, sweetheart," Keanu said to Lily, handing back her phone. "That's a great picture." But instead of walking away, as both David and Lily clearly expected him to do, Keanu lingered. "Sir," Keanu said quietly to David, his voice carrying the kind of gentle concern that comes from someone who has experienced loss himself. "Is everything okay?" David's first instinct was to deflect, to offer the polite reassurance that strangers expected. "Yes, we're fine. Thank you so much for—" But something in Keanu's eyes, saw genuine caring that went beyond celebrity politeness, made him stop. "Phase 4, David said quietly, the words barely audible above the airport noise. We're heading home to San Diego. We've been at Cedars-Sinai for the last round of treatments." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was the kind of suspended moment when one person truly sees another person's pain and doesn't try to fix it or minimize it. "We're trying to make some good memories," David continued, his voice growing stronger, "while we still can. This trip was on her bucket list. She wanted to see Hollywood, maybe spot a movie star." He managed a genuine smile, Mission accomplished, I'd say. Keanu glanced at his watch. 2 hours and 47 minutes until his connecting flight. He thought about the theater rehearsal, the schedule, the carefully planned day ahead. Then he looked at Lily, who was showing her phone to a passing stranger, proudly displaying her selfie with a movie star. "Do you have some time before your flight?" Keanu asked David. Yes, about an hour. Why? There's a little cafe just past security that makes excellent hot chocolate, Keanu said, looking down at Lily. And I was thinking, would you like to continue this adventure a little longer? David started to protest they couldn't impose. Surely Keanu had places to be, important people to meet. But Lily had already grabbed both men by the hand and was tugging them toward the cafe. "Are you sure?" David asked quietly as they walked. "I know you must have." "I have time," Keanu said simply. "And honestly, I can't think of anywhere I'd rather spend it." The Pete's Coffee near Gate 52 wasn't much to look at standard airport fare with overpriced drinks and tired-looking pastries. But when Keanu, David, and Lily settled into a corner table with their hot chocolates, it transformed into something special. "So, Lily," Keanu said, stirring his hot chocolate, "your dad tells me you wanted to see Hollywood. What's your favorite movie?" "I love all the Disney movies, but I also really like the superhero ones," Lily said. "My dad and I watch them together when he's feeling good enough." David's expression tightened slightly at the casual way his daughter referenced his condition. But Keanu didn't flinch or change the subject. "Which superhero is your favorite?" Keanu asked, leaning forward with genuine interest. For the next 20 minutes, they talked about movies, about Lily's school. She was homeschooled now to accommodate her father's treatment schedule, about her drawings. She wanted to be an animator, and about the small adventures they'd been collecting together. Halfway through their conversation, Keanu pulled off his sunglasses, the simple black frames that had become almost as iconic as his face. "Want to try these on?" he asked Lily. "See if they make you look like a movie star, too." The sunglasses were comically large on her small face, but she struck a pose that made both men laugh, the first genuine laughter David had experienced in weeks. "I look so cool," Lily declared, and Keanu couldn't argue with that assessment. While Lily modeled the sunglasses, Keanu began sketching on the paper napkins scattered across their table. Nothing elaborate temple cartoon characters, a stick figure superhero, a drawing of a girl with curly hair wearing oversized sunglasses. "This is you," he said, sliding one of the napkins across to Lily. "Lily, the superhero." The drawing was simple but recognizable, and Lily studied it with the intensity that children bring to things that matter to them. "What's my superpower?" she asked. "You make people smile even when they're having the hardest days of their lives," Keanu said without hesitation. "That's a pretty amazing superpower." As Lily continued to examine the napkin drawings and try on the sunglasses, David found himself opening up to this stranger who had somehow made them feel less alone in their struggle. "6 months ago, I was coaching her soccer team," David said quietly. "I was one of those parents who had everything planned. Out college funds, family vacations, her wedding someday." He paused. "It's amazing how quickly all those plans can become irrelevant." Keanu nodded, not trying to offer false optimism or empty reassurances. He'd learned, through his own experiences with loss, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply witness someone else's pain without trying to fix it. "The hardest part isn't the treatments or the uncertainty," David continued. "It's watching her try to take care of me. She's 7 years old, and she's already learned to read my face to see if I'm having a good day or a bad day. No kid should have to carry that kind of awareness." "But look at her," Keanu said, nodding toward Lily, who was now adding her own drawings to his napkin art. "She's still a kid. She's still curious and joyful and excited about taking selfies with random actors in airports. You've protected that in her." For the first time in months, David felt seen not as a patient or a victim or a tragic case, but as a father who was doing his best in an impossible situation. Flight 447 to San Diego, now boarding Group A. The announcement echoed through the terminal, breaking the spell of their intimate conversation. David checked his watch and sighed. "That's us." Already? Lily protested. But we're having so much fun. Keanu looked at his own boarding pass still an hour and 20 minutes before his Chicago flight. In the normal course of events, he would say goodbye now, perhaps sign one more autograph, and watch them disappear into the crowd of travelers. But as he watched David help Lily pack up her drawings and gather their belongings, Keanu found himself reluctant to let this connection end so abruptly. "Would it be okay if I walked with you to your gate?" Keanu asked. "I've got time before my flight, and I'd like to see you off properly." The walk from the cafe to gate 18 took about 8 minutes, but they stretched it to 15, stopping to look at the art installations, letting Lily press her face against the windows to watch planes taxi on the runway. Other travelers hurried past them, focused on their own destinations and schedules. But in their small bubble of connection, time seemed to move differently. "Mr. Keanu," Lily said as they walked, "do you have kids?" Keanu was quiet for a moment. "No, sweetie, I don't. But spending time with you today has reminded me how wonderful kids can be." "You'd be a good dad," Lily said with the matter-of-fact certainty that children possess. "You listen really well, and you draw funny pictures." "That might be the nicest compliment I've ever received," Keanu told her. And he meant it. Gate 18 was crowded with families heading to San Diego, business travelers with their laptops out, the usual mix of airport humanity. But David, Lily, and Keanu found a quieter spot near the windows. Final boarding call for flight 447 to San Diego. All remaining passengers should board immediately. David stood up, extending his hand to Keanu. "I can't tell you what this morning has meant to us." "Really? You turned what could have been just another travel day into something Lily will remember forever." But Keanu didn't immediately let go of David's hand. Instead, he stepped closer and pulled the other man into a genuine embrace. As they hugged, Keanu whispered something into David's earwords that only the two of them could hear, words that made David's shoulders begin to shake with emotion. What Keanu whispered to David in that moment would remain between them, but the effect was immediate and profound. David, who had been holding himself together through months of treatment and uncertainty, finally allowed himself to break down. But these weren't tears of despair or self-pity. They were tears of gratitude, of relief, of feeling truly seen and understood by another human being. "Daddy?" Lily asked, reaching up to touch her father's arm. "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect, sweetheart," David said, wiping his eyes and kneeling down to her level. "Sometimes grown-ups cry when they're really, really happy." "Like when you cried at my school play?" Lily asked. "Exactly like that," David confirmed, pulling her into a hug. As David and Lily prepared to board their flight, Keanu pulled out one last napkin and quickly wrote something on it. His handwriting was neat, but unhurried, the words chosen carefully. "Lily," he said, folding the napkin and handing it to her. "This is for you to keep. Maybe read it when you get home." "Can I read it now?" she asked. "It'll be even more special if you wait," Keanu said. "Trust me." As they joined the boarding line, Lily ran back for one more hug, nearly knocking Keanu over with the enthusiasm of her embrace. "Thank you for the best airport day ever," she said into his shoulder. "Thank you for reminding me what really matters," Keanu replied. Keanu stayed at the gate window until flight 447 pushed back from the jetway. He could see David and Lily through one of the small plane windows, and Lily was waving enthusiastically. He waved back until the plane was too far away to see individual passengers, then made his way slowly back toward his own gate. Later that evening, after David and Lily had returned to their home in San Diego, Lily finally unfolded the napkin that Keanu had given her. The message was simple but profound. "To Lily, you brighten my day more than you'll ever know. Now it's your turn to make the world smile. The superpower I drew on that napkin? It's real, and it's yours. Use it every day, Keanu." But there was something else tucked inside the napkin, a business card with a handwritten phone number and a simple note. "For David, you're not alone in this. Call anytime. K." 3 weeks later, David did call the number on the card. Not because he needed anything specific, but because he was having one of those days when the weight of everything felt unbearable. Keanu answered on the second ring, as if he'd been waiting for the call. They talked for an hour about treatment options, about finding hope in small moments, about being a parent when you're not sure how much time you have left. It became a weekly tradition, Sunday evening calls that both men looked forward to. Sometimes they talked about serious things. Sometimes about completely ordinary topics, like Lily's latest school project or Keanu's current film. But the real magic was in what happened to their story when David shared it on social media 6 months later. Not seeking attention or sympathy, but simply wanting to celebrate an act of kindness that had meant everything to his family. The post, accompanied by a photo of the napkin drawing and Keanu's message, went viral within hours. But unlike many celebrity encounter stories, this one resonated because it wasn't about fame or fortunate. It was about one human being choosing to truly see and connect with another. Thousands of people shared their own stories of small acts of kindness that had changed their lives. Airports reported increases in passengers helping other travelers. The hashtag number Keanu became shorthand for choosing compassion over convenience. But for David and Lily, the real impact wasn't in the viral fame of their story. It was in the ongoing friendship with someone who had chosen to see them not as a tragic case or an inspiring story, but simply as people worth knowing. 6 months after their airport encounter, when Keanu had a layover in San Diego, he called David and Lily. They met him at the same airport where their friendship had begun, this time at a different cafe, for another round of hot chocolate and napkin art. David's treatment was progressing better than expected. Lily had started a school club called Kindness Heroes, where kids looked for ways to brighten other people's days. And Keanu had discovered that some of the most meaningful roles he'd ever played weren't in movies at all. They were in real life, in moments when he chose to stay a little longer and see a little deeper. Because sometimes, the most powerful performances happen off-screen, in airport cafes, over hot chocolate. When someone chooses to transform a brief encounter into a lasting friendship. And sometimes, the most important question isn't whether someone recognizes you, but whether you truly see them.